Hello, girls and boys. I have a really interesting book for you today. It's called The Spider and the Fly. The illustrations are by Tony DiTerlizzi, but the book, the poem, was written by Mary Howitt, and she wrote the poem back in, oh golly, let's see, she was born in 1799, and she actually wrote this book, or at least she wrote the poem in 1829. Boys and girls, this story is well over 100 years old. And the interesting thing about this story is that most of the stories I read have a positive ending. This story is interesting because if you know anything about spiders, they spin their webs to trap flies and other insects for their meals, to eat them. So this is a very interesting story because the ending might not be what you think it's going to be. So this is called The Spider and the Fly. It was put together by Tony DiTerlizzi, and it was written by Mary Howitt over 150 years ago. The Spider and the Fly. "Will you walk into my parlor?" said the spider to the fly. "'Tis the prettiest little parlor that ever you did spy. The way into my parlor is up a winding stair, and I have many curious things to show you when you are there." So there's the spider talking to the little fly with her suitcase and her flower umbrella. She has met the spider, and he's trying to convince her to come into his house. "Oh, no, no," said the little fly. "To ask me is in vain, for who goes up your winding stair can ne'er come down again." So she says, "Oh, no, I should not go, because I know when people go in your house, they don't come out again." "I'm sure you must be weary, dear, with soaring up so high. Will you rest upon my little bed?" said the spider to the fly. "There are pretty curtains drawn around, the sheets are fine and thin, and if you like to rest a while, I'll snugly tuck you in." There's the spider trying to convince the little fly to take a little nap because she's flown so far. Those are ghosts of other flies. "Oh, no, no," said the little fly, "for I've often heard it said, they never, never wake again who sleep upon your bed." There she is. There's the bed. And there's the little flies. The book that they have is called The Joy of Cooking Bugs. Oh. Said the cunning spider to the fly, "Dear friend, what can I do to prove the warm affection I've always felt for you? I have within my pantry good store of all that's nice. I'm sure you're very welcome. Will you please to take a slice?" So look at, he's offering her a slice of bug. She's sitting at the dining table, but look at her eyes. Oh, what will she do? "Oh, no, no," said the little fly. "Kind sir, that cannot be. I've heard what's in your pantry, and I do not wish to see." "Sweet creature," said the spider, "you're witty and you're wise. How handsome are your gauzy wings, how brilliant are your eyes. I have a little looking glass upon my parlor shelf. If you'd step in one moment, dear, you shall behold yourself." His looking glass is a mirror, and he wants her to see how beautiful she is. "I thank you, gentle sir," she said, "for what you are pleased to say. And bidding you good morning now, I'll call another day." Bidding you good morning is a way to say, "Goodbye, I'm leaving. I'll see you another time." The spider turned him round about and went into his den, for well he knew the silly fly would soon come back again. So he wove a subtle web in a little corner sly and set his table ready to dine upon the fly. So he said goodbye to her for now, but he knows she's going to come back. Then he came out to his door again, and merrily did sing, "Come hither, hither, pretty fly, with the pearl and silver wing. Your robes are green and purple. There's a crest upon your head. Your eyes are like the diamond bright, but mine are dull as lead." Here he is singing to her to come back. Alas, alas, how very soon this silly little fly, hearing his wily, flattering words, came slowly flitting by. With buzzing wings she hung aloft, then near and nearer drew, thinking only of her brilliant eyes and green and purple hue, thinking only of her crested head. Poor foolish thing. At last, because he was so complimentary of her, she came back to hear more. Uh-oh. Up jumped the cunning spider and fiercely held her fast. He captured her. He dragged her up his winding stair into his dismal den, within his little parlor, but she'd ne'er come out again. If you've ever seen a fly wrapped up in a spider web, that's kind of how they look. So he got her. And now, dear little children, who may this story read, to idle, silly, flattering words, I pray your ne'er give heed. Unto an evil counselor, close heart and ear and eye, and take a lesson from this tale of the spider and the fly. And look who is now a ghost with the other fly ghosts. Now, the end of this story is a letter from the spider, and I'm going to read that to you now. Dear sweet creatures, no doubt you've finished our delicious tale and are surprised by this little tragedy. But then again, what did you expect from a story about a spider and a fly? Happily ever after? Spiders are trappers, for goodness sake. We've been doing it for generations, and we're quite good at it. Even your beloved Charlotte, in E.B. White's classic Charlotte's Web, admitted as much. But alas, the poor dear never capitalized on her fortune. Now, if I were in her shoes, I would be eating bacon. With the wealth of knowledge about spiders and our crafty, carnivorous ways, you'd think my web would be empty. But not a day passes without a hapless bug or two stopping by. What's a spider to do? To be completely fair, my most recent dinner guest put up a commendable fight. But I am a talented and persistent hunter with many schemes up my sleeves. And you can see, I always get my bug. So, what does all this talk of spiders and traps have to do with you? Be warned, little dears, and know that spiders are not the only hunters and bugs are not the only victims. Take what has transpired within these pages to heart, or you might well find yourself trapped in some schemer's web. Bon appetit, spider. And here is him. And his letter. Boys and girls, that was the spider and the fly.